welcome to another episode of the DC Comics Chronicles. As always, I'm your host, Adam. And with me is my co-host, Donnie, the Emerald Enthusiast. Donnie, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, comic book fans? It's the man whose ring runs on fanboy energy, the podcasting machine, the big nerd in green. It's the Emerald Enthusiast, here to put a little bit more action in your comics.
That's very well said.
You're welcome.
And so if Donnie hasn't given it away, we're going to catch up on Action Comics because we've fallen a bit behind. I mean, we've been reading, but we haven't reviewed. So we're back with the review portion of the after the reading. When you have a podcast dedicated to comics, there comes the time when you review these things, and this is where we're at now. So we're going to be reviewing Action Comics numbers 1032 through 1035. Do I have that right, Donnie?
That is correct. Just the main stories, not the backup stories. Only the content that involves Superman.
Yeah, and that's the Warworld Rising story arc.
Try to say that 5 times real fast.
Oh, no, I'm not even going to.
You don't have to do that on camera, but...
No, I'm not going to try that. That's left for better men than me.
So any of our listeners, try to say that 5 times really quickly and see what you come up with.
Yeah, and if you're able to do it, record it, send it to us on Twitter, and you'll get a prize. The prize is a year's worth of free podcasts and vidcasts. How about that?
Oh, there you go.
All right, Donnie. Let's get right to the meat of the stories. Let's start where we left off, which is Action Comics number 1032.
Yes, we are starting off with Action Comics number 1032. It opens up with Superman, Supergirl, and Lois Lane learning about Thal-La. She's one of the 3 Phalosians who is conscious. She's scared, and we see her standing over a destroyed Kellex.
Poor Kellex is all that.
Yeah, so it's not he or she, whatever, not having a good day.
No, not at all, yeah. Definitely not.
So not long after that, we see a development with the overarching plot, and that is Superman planning to go to Warworld. Again, say that 5 times real fast. And he wants to take some backup with him. And we get this hilarious scene of Batman taking down some criminals. And by the way, I laughed uproariously at this because Batman's getting shot at. He's jumping from car to car. He's breaking windows, and Superman's just kind of hovering there. Normal conversation for Superman, and Batman's just like doing all this stuff, and Superman's like, just a normal day for my weird friend here.
Well, the best part is, as soon as Superman shows up, Batman's like, I don't need help.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Not thanks. Could you give me a hand while you're here? No, I don't need help. Right off the bat, pun intended, right off the bat, Philip Kennedy Johnson really gets their dynamic, the two of them.
Yeah, that was a really funny exchange, but it advanced the plot though. I really like.
For sure. Yeah,
he's got a good handle on the dynamic there. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, not long after that, we see Superman, Aquaman, and some Atlanteans stopping some rampaging monsters in the ocean because they are headed inland, and they have been manifested somehow by the Genesis fragment. Some really good-looking art there.
Oh yeah, the art in Action Comics is some of the best Superman art that I've seen in my. Hang on. I came back into comics in 03, 04. So how long is that, Donnie?
17 or 18 years.
Right, yeah. So it's the best Superman art in some of the best Superman art in the 17 years I've been back. It's right up there with Michael Turner and Jim Lee, who both had stints on Superman and Superman Batman respectively. And yeah, Daniel Sampere really deserves all the praise in the world for that art, because every page looks like it could be frame worthy.
Right. So, by the way, I really like that hoodie that you have on. If you're
Thank
listening
you. It's
on,
very appropriate for the conversation. See,
it is awesome. If you're listening on iTunes or Podbean, you can't see how awesome it is. So make sure
it's
you
a
go to our
Superman.
YouTube channel too. Yeah.
And it keeps me warm. It keeps me warm,
Right.
which is the main function.
Right.
Living in Canada, in the fall, winter time period.
Little chilly up there, huh, buddy?
It is, and when your electronic, your electric, whatever the fireplace doesn't work, that doesn't help matters. So it's like
okay.
trying to find the fireplace channel just to mimic warmth. Yeah, is my thing. But if I had heat vision, I could create my own warmth. But sadly,
that would, and you could heat up turkeys like Supergirl.
Yeah, or other food, whatever
right.
whatever leftovers there may be. Yeah.
Right. So back to the story here. Steve Trevor shows up and declares that the U.S. government is responding to the invasion and they are laying claim to the salvage from the spacecraft. Arthur, as in Aquaman, balks at this and he says that if the U.S. government tries to take the fragment, that's an act of war. So even though he's not, again, speaking for Atlantis at this point, he knows that's what their reaction will be.
Right, yeah. He's had enough he's had enough experience with them. He was their king for a while, and now he's, correct me if I'm wrong, married to the queen. So he would know.
Right. So let's move on now to Action 1033.
Are we going to rate these all?
Let's just rate, since we're just doing, it's like, since it's half of a book, I think we should just rate it all together at the end.
The whole story, yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's just rate the whole.
Yeah, because that brings us to the end of the Warworld Rising kind of.
Yeah, and obviously they're gearing up for something big here.
Yeah, Warworld. I can't remember what it's called.
Is it Warworld Risen or Warworld? I can't remember. Risen or Invade, something like that.
Anyway. I'm gonna while you describe the issue.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to Philip Kennedy Johnson's Twitter page and see if I can find the answer.
And actually, I think if you have it digitally, I think it's on the end of the last issue. You see the story.
Then let me go to Chronicles. Yeah.
Yes, I think. Okay, so while Adam is doing that, it is now story time with the Emerald Enthusiast.
Who do you think you are, Adam Cole? It's story time with
So 2 members of Task Force X, using cloaking devices, swim in and try to steal the Genesis fragment from Atlantis. Now, this does not work, as you would expect. The Atlanteans show up, and they stop them, and they take this as an act of war. Now, even though later on we learn that it's just basically Amanda Waller acting on her own, they don't make the distinction, Atlantis. So later on we see that Atlantis, they block shipping routes through the Atlantic. And they are there in force, as is the U.S. military.
Right. Yeah. My question is, just off the top, why would anybody try and steal something from Atlantis? Like, if you manage to get by the guards, like if you're fortunate enough to do that, Aquaman's not that far behind.
Right.
Right? So, by the way, the Warworld saga is what it's listed.
There you go.
Here.
Yeah. And we will be covering that right here,
of course,
on the DC Comics Chronicles.
Well, shameless plug, yeah. For the podcast we're recording. Love it.
Right. There you go. Well, we want him to come back.
No shame.
Wanted him to come back. So.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a meeting of the Justice League, and I've got to say, this is the nicest that I've ever seen Black Adam drawn. He actually looks like a good guy.
Yeah.
In this meeting, I thought that was really cool. So in the midst of this collective anxiety over the U.S. Atlantis conflict, Superman needs help going to Warworld and freeing the slaves there. And so you see, I like how this kind of issue works. You get this dynamic of Superman's like, I realize this is this big conflict happening here, but I've got something even more important that I've got to go deal with. And then yet a third problem shows up later on.
a lot of problems for Superman to face.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Back at the Fortress of Solitude, Foul Law's powers are manifesting. And she tells Lois that the chains that she's wearing aren't meant to signify servitude, but that the winners on War World get pieces of the chains from the losers, which makes the winners stronger. So the more chains you wear, it means the stronger you are, the more victories you have, the greater your influence. So it's kind of he really subverts your expectation there.
Right, definitely. Yeah. Kind of like, you know, it's the reverse of exactly. It's the exact reverse of what we would expect people in chains to be facing and feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very interesting. And of course, to me, the bigger issue or the bigger kind of talking point is that it kind of shows you that, you know, we're dealing with an interaction of different cultures, different,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because these people are, as we're told, ancestors of Kryptonians of some
Right.
sort,
Right.
but they're not Kryptonian in the sense that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
So there naturally be differences between them and, say, Superman and Kara, and
Right.
then on top of that, their culture, and more specifically, the the culture on Warworld would be different than what we have here on Earth, right? So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and these are things that permeate, you know, differences of culture and kind of trying to understand and respect those differences.
Mm-hmm. Good
Uh,
point.
are things that permeate into the real world. So it's always nice to have those kind of stories being told in these fantastical superhero and sci-fi stories.
I definitely like how Lois is in this issue, how diplomatic she's trying to be, and
Yeah,
she
yeah,
understands that Foul Law has gone through a lot of trauma, and she tries to be as soothing and as understanding as she can be.
yeah.
So at
Lois
the
is
same,
Lois
sure, go
is the
ahead.
key, as the Flash said in Batman and Superman.
You know what? That's too soon. Just kidding. Anyway,
Notice, notice, he didn't say Martha is the key.
why'd you say that name?
They
I'm sure there are people at the Wall Street Journal right now. They're like, "What in the world? What is wrong with this guy?"
probably saw your tweet and were like, "Woo, what?"
You gotta believe there's at least one comic book nerd somewhere in that establishment who knows what's going on. So
Yeah, he was
anyway,
probably laughing.
so at the same time, we see Mongol kind of making moves back on War World. Superman, John, and Supergirl intervene to stop the standoff between the U.S. government and Atlantis from erupting into a major conflict.
This was the issue that had that scene where they were hovering
Yes,
above the water in between the two armies, right?
yes,
And,
yep,
and the sunshine was like glistening. You know,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that to me, unfortunately, I can't get it to fit my friggin' computer screen.
Mhm.
Otherwise, that would be my current background.
There's a lot of like poster worthy art in some
Yeah,
of
oh
these
yeah.
issues. Yeah.
Again, Daniel Samper. Oh man, like I know he's not going to be on the title for much long. I don't think he's going to be on the title for the next part of this story arc,
Hmm. Okay.
which I'm sure they'll get somebody great as well. But that's a shame because man, I love his art.
Hmm. Yeah. Likewise.
But he
So
has
we.
signed an
But,
exclusive to DC, so he will be sticking around
oh, that's good.
DC Universe.
Hey, maybe he'll come draw some Green Lantern at some
I
point.
knew you were going to go there. I had a feeling you would say that.
Why would you think that Green Lantern would be on my mind?
Well, let me see. Taking a quick gander behind you.
What?
Does
So
anybody use the
anyway,
word gander anymore? I just did.
it's been a while since I've heard that, but
Well,
good.
there you go. See,
Proper usage. Yeah,
I like to pretend that I'm cultured, even though I'm not.
that's right. Well,
But yeah,
you know what? If it is good for the goose, then it is good for the gander.
well,
So
there you
there you
go.
go.
Yeah, that's right. See? This episode is brought to you by the word gan. Yeah, there we go.
And
Accessories.
the wonderful number 7.
Yeah. Where's the count? We need the count, especially for Halloween.
one wonderful war zone.
Yeah, yeah.
So so the war zones, they are actually sent by Mongol to the Fortress of Solitude. They hone in on Thal La, and they give her a very nasty prompt to continue the mission for which she is sent here. And we learn a little bit more about that in the next issue. In the meantime, Lois sees what's going on, and she grabs this massive blaster from the fortress, and she intervenes. And that's how this portion of the story stops.
Yeah. Uh, I get a lot. There's something about seeing a badass Lois Lane
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah, yeah.
with some alien kind of tech gun that just can't be beat. And I love the way, I got to be honest with you, the way that, because you got to think about it. In the context of, we've got these ancestors of these Kryptonians coming in,
Mm-hmm.
they're super powered. We're gearing up to talk about Mongol. Superman is fighting in Atlantis against these creatures, and he's trying to stop a war from developing between Atlantis and Earth, on the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
specifically.
Yeah.
Thank God somebody from the past 4 years isn't president, or else there would have been a war for sure. But anyway,
Let's not go
that's
there.
there. But the point is,
Oh.
the fact that all that is happening, and Philip Kennedy Johnson still has time to give Lois some meaty, story to be a part of, is impressive. And because it's probably going to be difficult for her to be a part of the story when they're on Warworld, because she's not going with them. So
right.
she's going to be missing for a while, I would think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would think. So it's nice to see her have a lot of play here.
Right. Well, she seemingly, again, we'll get to what happens at the end. She doesn't seem to go,
Right, yeah.
to that. And really, I mean, yeah, she would just be, as just a normal human, she'd be a liability on Warworld.
Yeah, and
So,
he'd have to be, I got to protect Lois, and I got to
right.
deal with whatever,
Yeah, exactly. So we open up action number 1034. Lois trying to protect Thal La and the refugees from the war zones. We got the two other refugees that are laid out and unconscious.
Yeah.
And Lois has blasted one of the war zones, the one with the the big, like, a ponytail braid coming out from the top of its head, and
Yeah.
it calls her a puny little breeding sow. Ouch.
That's hilarious.
That is, it's hilarious. It's villainous and hilarious. Now, by the way, I want to make it crystal clear here that Philip Kennedy Johnson does not hate women. And I say this because there are people on Twitter who seem to read things that the villains say and they're like, oh, well, the writer must think that. No, that's not how stories work. Heroes do good things, villains do bad things. That's how
Is that really a
know.
thing on Twitter? Is that,
Oh, yes. Oh, I have seen that on
specifically to Philip Kennedy Johnson?
No, to many like shows, and people will read a story or watch a TV show and say that's what the writer must believe.
Well,
When
I'll just say this right off the bat. If you somehow take that word and think Philip Kennedy Johnson is against women, have you seen how he's written Lois this entire time?
Exactly. But no, I have seen that.
That gives me a headache, Donnie.
Many different forms. That's a new thing that I'm seeing, is people are just like, oh, well, when he or she wrote that villain to say that, that's their true feelings.
Fandom gives me a headache, Donnie.
Yes. Villains are supposed to be repellent. That's why they're villains.
Also, not everybody in comics is as crazy as somebody who used to work on Green Lantern, who I will not name because he's a piece of garbage. But
let's not go there.
Yeah.
So
you know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Like I said,
He's
like I
got
said, I don't want to go.
initials, 3 of them.
Yeah, and we're not talking about Philip Kennedy Johnson here.
No,
so.
All right. Philip Kennedy Johnson, who goes by, some people call him PKJ, is top notch in my book. He's good people. From what
Speaking of women, although she's an alien, Thal La, I like how she kind of has a soldier's demeanor.
Yeah, she's
when she's fighting the war zone, she's like, if I'm strong, it's because the dead fight alongside me. She's got that very, kind of veneration for her ancestors. I like that a lot. So So the Warzoons get the upper hand on Lois and Thal La, and they kill the two refugees who are unconscious.
Hmm.
And this is when Thal La's heat vision, which I guess that's what you call it,
A
it
laser.
yeah, laser eye somehow, which it seems more powerful than Superman's, or at least the way that it was presented
Because it's
here.
got a blue coloring, right? This
Yeah,
one.
and it's larger. It's less like I don't want to say laser locked. Well, maybe I do. Less laser locked. It's a larger beam. It's more, it takes up more space, and she absolutely fries the flesh from the bones of the Warzoons simultaneously. She just takes them all out with one blast.
KFC. I don't know if it's finger looking good, but you be the judge of that. She KFC'd him. That's what she did.
I don't know if Warzoons taste like chicken or not. So
Who knows? Well, I'm not gonna. Maybe we'll ask. You know.
maybe we'll ask Philip Kennedy Johnson. So
Yeah, we'll get a chance to ask him. So we'll see.
right. So, but remember now, Thal La has this mission that we keep talking about. She immediately turns around and menaces Lois because something is a play here, and we're getting ready to learn what that is.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, we also see that Superman and company, again being John and Supergirl, are trying to stop the fighting that's broken out between the U.S. and Atlantis
Yeah.
because they are starting to trade, weaponry. They're starting to trade blows. And then one of my favorite things happens that always happens in Superman comics. Whenever Superman has had it up to here and he just says, enough.
Yeah.
I love on the cartoons or what I just love when
You
he is.
like you
Yeah.
know what it takes to get him there. Like that.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's. He doesn't expound with the dialogue. It's just one word. I'm done. We're now you've pushed me to the limit.
That's right. He's like, I've had it, and you know what? The children are going to their room right now. so, so what he does here actually, and I love this, he parts the water from the ocean floor,
Oh
and
yeah.
while the water is at its peak, he freezes it. He like flies through it, and you see, the water parts, and he freezes it, and
I just love the imagery of him flying through the water because
yeah,
you
that's
just
awesome.
imagine the power and the speed of that.
Yeah, yeah. You can hear how quickly, your mind's eye produces that sound of how
Yeah.
quickly he's moving through
And
there.
then in the water, they have that. Him and Arthur have that exchange.
Oh yeah, well I'll get to that soon.
Yeah.
So he takes the Genesis fragment, and Arthur's like, if you do this, Cal, things are going to change between the two of us. First of all, he said, I figured Batman would do this. He's like, he's like,
Oh no, poor Batman gets to blame for everything. He's not even in the story.
exactly. He's like, I would expect this out of old Spooky, but not you, Cal. So, yeah. So as this is going on, and Supergirl also questions Superman's decision to grab the fragment. So
Yeah,
as
because
this is
her
yeah,
logic is this isn't going to stop the war. They're going to find something to fight over, and she's
right,
not wrong. Like
right,
if you take that comment and you look historically and in everyday life, if
mm-hmm.
people are going to go to war, they'll if they really want to fight, whether it's an everyday fight or a larger, they'll manufacture things to be mad
right,
about.
right. Well, at least though, at this point, he's managed to temporarily
He's
separate them.
neutralized. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right. However, John realizes that something is wrong at the Fortress of Solitude, so they all fly back in a panic, and we see that Thal La has Lois at her mercy because Mongo has the other Philosians prisoner,
Yeah.
all of them. And so now we're going to see, and this ends right here, that Mongol tells her, if you don't go and kill all of Superman's loved ones, I'm going to kill your entire race.
Yeah.
Everybody who has survived, I'm going to kill them all. And I do want to say, though, this issue, at least the Superman portion, ends with another great visual, and that's Thal La and John barreling toward one another.
Oh, it's an amazing visual.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I can go on all day about the art. Daniel Sampere is top notch. I actually do hope he ends up doing a stint with some sort of Green Lantern because he's done so much good with the monsters and the creatures, and here, imagine in a more even more sci-fi setting.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of art, the main cover to Action Comics number 1035 is absolutely gorgeous, and it's Lois and John sitting on their front porch, tearful, and you see Superman flying away in the
Oh yeah,
reflection of
it's
the
an
mirror.
amazing cover. It's like
Yeah, I
it's
love it.
such a it's such a quiet but impactful image. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. So the story opens up this issue that is Thal-La is trying to kill Superman's loved ones because if she doesn't, he will kill all the remaining Phalosians.
Mongo will, not Superman.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Just,
I should have made that clear. Yeah, yeah. So no, this is not, the Injustice Superman or, Superman Red Sun or something. So
or
yeah.
Zack Snyder
And all
Superman.
right. Oh gosh. Let's uh
I'm kidding, folks.
right,
Relax. Don't get your knives out.
right. Well, anyway,
Joke.
through the box that was brought with the War Zooms, you hear Mongo's voice, and he says, "Prove to me that your people deserve to live. If you don't do this, I'm going to kill them all." And so Superman convinces her to stop. And I like how around that device, that box or whatever it is, we see some of the Kirby crackle
Yeah.
around it. I always like to see things that kind of look like
Also,
that.
you know what I like about Superman throughout this arc so far is like
What's that?
he tries to talk people down, and he basically tells them several times, and I'm paraphrasing
Hmm.
because I don't remember the exact quotes, but I don't want to have to hurt you. I think he told one of those, the creature under the
Right. Oh
in
yeah.
Atlantis, when he's like, I don't want to hurt you, but I will stop you if I have to. And what I like about Philip Kennedy Johnson's uh, version of Superman is that, at least to me, it is a combination of the uh, confident, peaceful, graceful
Hmm.
Superman that Christopher Reeve portrays,
Right.
and when he needs to be, the physical, powerful force that Henry Cavill portrays. It's like a marriage of the two, at least to me, and I appreciate that.
Right. Well, and he is able to convince Thal-La that he's on
Yeah.
her side and that he can help her. And so we see this cathartic moment where she snaps her chains and Mongol tries to detonate the box and kill her, but Superman grabs it, and his image is shown on Warworld, and he kind of cuts a promo on Mongol.
Yeah,
He's
it was
like,
good.
"I'm coming for the belt, champ." So back at the Fortress of
All right,
Solitude.
now that you said that,
Okay,
there's going to be, because there's going to be a fight between Mongol and Superman in the next arc, and at one point, Mongol's going to get the upper hand because if Superman just goes there and kicks his ass, we don't have a story. So at some point, Mongol's going to get the upper hand, and I want to see at some point. Now that you mentioned the wrestling promo, Superman getting beat, but then he starts to Hulk up, Hulkster
right.
style. Shaky, and does the finger wag. I would pay extra money on the issue if that happened.
But then here comes Lobo with the Money in the Bank briefcase, cashes it in. Sorry.
Philip Kennedy Johnson is probably a little bit why if he's watching this, which he probably isn't, but he's probably
If he
saying,
is,
I'm not taking any of these suggestions.
he's,
These
pro-
guys are
he's,
nuts.
he's probably thinking, what have I gotten myself into here?
Yeah, yeah.
So back at the Fortress of Solitude again, Superman and company, they are holding a memorial for the murdered refugees.
Right.
Thal-La's alive, but she's wounded, and she's in like some kind of I don't know whether you call it like she's recuperating in this like big device. Um, Probably a name for it. I can't remember it right off the top of my head. So we also see that the League shows up, and they say because of the conflict that is developing on Earth again between Atlantis and the U.S., they can't go. But if he would be willing to wait a little bit longer, and Superman's like, I can't. I'm leaving right away. And Black Adam was like, okay, but don't worry, all will be well when you return. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
and
that
I thought to myself, two
trademark
things.
infringement.
Yeah, two things. I'm like, I can imagine The Rock saying that and then giving an eyebrow to Superman. But two, yeah, it's like, when did Black Adam become a
St.
Blue Lantern?
Walker.
Yeah,
Yeah. St. Walker. Yeah, that's his catchphrase. All will be
yeah,
well, you know?
yeah.
So anyway. But I also like after this was Batman shows up. He's just kind of skulking in the shadows, as you would expect. And
Really, I'm
Superman's like,
shocked Batman would do such a thing.
okay, cute. I know you're
Yeah,
here. So
yeah, because typically Batman would, vanish with the rest of the group, but he stays behind and he's like, "Oh, cute, you're changing it up after all these years."
So Batman says, "Hey, I've got, basically this information that you've got a backup team for this Warworld mission." And that is true, obviously. And we see
Yeah,
that coming up.
yeah. There is actually on, I think November 2nd. There's a one shot. It's called Batman Superman, The Authority #1 that takes
Yeah, I
place right.
believe I believe that was solicited in this issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's right. So it comes out November 2nd, and then the week later, the next issue of Action comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So when we pick up these reviews again, we'll do the Batman Superman special, and then the Action stuff.
All right, I'm down. So John and Cal have a talk as Superman prepares to leave. And Superman says, well, the Justice League, they may invite you to join. And John says, if Damian's creepy dad asked me to join the league, he goes, I'm going to punch him in his stupid head. And I'm like, you know what? Philip Kennedy Johnson really gets the way like teenagers speak. So you got to give him that.
And
Punch him
Superman's
in his stupid
reaction is a
head.
smirk.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, "No, John, don't get out of hand," he just he
Yeah.
laughs because he's like, "There's another one. Batman's pissed off."
And he's like, well, and he's thinking that's my boy right there. So
Can you imagine? That would make the next. I know they're too old for a sleepover, but that would have made the next sleepover between John and Damian awkward. Although Alfred would, well, actually, no, Alfred wouldn't be there because he's dead, thanks to a certain writer. But I digress. Not going to get angry about that.
So then we see Superman saying goodbye to Lois. He tells her, look, he takes her flying and he's like, I will come back in one piece, I promise. And then they have, how should I say this?
Coitus.
Okay, happy fun time in the sky.
All right.
In fact, we see she's like, show me how much I mean to you. And then we see, her shirt kind of floating down and I'll let your imagination take it from there. So
now Superman has ruined date night for every human being who can't do that.
Right, exactly.
I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Oh. So we see that Superman's team at the very end of this, as he gets ready to depart, it is the Authority. And that is Apollo, Enchantress, Light Ray, Manchester Black, Midnighter, OMAC 2, and Steel, as in Natasha Irons.
Yeah. Okay. And I love how they're like, before we leave, we need a catchphrase. And
Yeah.
it's like, I think it was Natasha that came up with, well, he's already got one. Up,
Right.
and then
Up, and then it just kind of fades off as they teleport.
I'm sure you like that green light, even though it wasn't a Green Lantern.
I did. I'm always down for something shiny and green. So yeah.
When you see at the stoplight when it turns green, you must get real excited.
Don't think that I haven't said it, that I haven't, gone through like a light before like that and thought to myself, if that would be like a power battery, like I had an actual ring, I could charge it like that.
Okay, so like when the different lights go off, this is a sidetrack, but right. Do you start saying the respective oath of whatever light you're at? So like if it's green, as you're going through, do you say the Green Lantern oath? If it's yellow, do you do
the Sinestro Corps?
How can you see Donnie in the car? In brightest day, in black.
As Cena Grace told us, the answer is not no.
I'd like to see you videotape that, but that's yeah.
Okay, sure.
I gotta say, I can't say I'm like a super fan of the Authority,
Mm-hmm.
but if anybody's going to make me a fan of the Authority, it's probably Philip Kennedy Johnson writing them, because everything he's written in regards to Superman, from Future State
Mm-hmm.
to now, I've loved it. Like, and I've said this, and we haven't covered it yet. We will soon. The Superman Son of Kal-El arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the two main Superman books, which are Action Comics and Superman Son of Kal-El, that combo, in my 17, 18 years of consistent reading, have never both been great at the same time until right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, usually, if action's good, Superman's kind of mid. If Superman's good, action's kind of... They're both great, and that's what I want. I want both. I'm so happy that Philip Kennedy Johnson and Tom Taylor and their respective artists are absolutely killing it on the super titles.
Right.
Not in the same way, Stephanie Phillips is killing comics, according to that one guy. But she's doing a great job too. I'm just using the bet.
She's so awesome. Yeah, we don't actually think that. Listen to our podcast with her on there. We love her. So
yeah, we do. She's the best. I mean, and much to my chagrin, she's even got a better choice of hockey teams than I do. But anyway, Philip Kennedy Johnson, sir, I wish you could stay on this title forever. That's my wish.
Yes. He is definitely not mid, as you said.
Absolutely not. Well, I'm just, that's what the kids would say, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, and that's what MJF would say.
Yeah, what the hell? I don't know how the kids talk anymore. I start talking to my nephews and they think they know everything, and it's like I can't have a conversation anymore. Like, the conversation starts and it abruptly stops. Like the other day they called me, Donnie, this is a side note.
Yeah.
They called me to tell me that, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of Use is on.
Okay.
So I put it on because I like watching those movies.
Yeah.
I turn it on and it's actually Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first movie. But the guide on the TV says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Use. So they're insisting with me that, oh no, it's look, the guide says, I'm like, I don't give what
the guide can be wrong. Yes.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I know these movies like the back of my hand. Don't argue with me about nerd stuff. You're like, that's the moment. Like, you want to talk to me about anything else that you may think you know more? There's a good chance that you do. But when it comes to like nerd things, you can't be me.
You're right. Yeah. I was born into it, molded by it.
Yeah, exactly. The Turtles were around when I was in, well, not when I was in diaper. Well, when did the Turtles come out? 84?
I want to say that, yeah, it was 84 was the first comic.
Okay, I was 1, so maybe I was still in diapers. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know how quickly I was potty, but I don't know why we're talking about my potty.
Let's ask your mother. Like, see if she has pictures, and we can put them up on the Instagram.
We'll get her on the podcast as a guest. When was I potty?
Exactly.
But I digress.
Well, you really digress.
From the first, never mind. I'm not going to go there. I was going to do it, but I won't. Yeah. No, but yeah, Philip Kennedy Johnson, and to me,
not the kind of chocolate you want to talk about at Halloween.
No. But Philip Kennedy Johnson, to me, can stay on the title for eternity, and I'd be happy with it.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
so,
I'm really enjoying it too. Yeah.
Is there anything else we should say, or do you want to rate this thing?
No, let's go ahead and rate it.
So we're going to do 5 for story, 5 for art. So
out of 5 for each one. So I'm going to give both a 4.5. Pretty close to perfect on both counts.
I've loved from start to finish every issue. I had a problem with absolutely nothing. So I'm going to give a 5, both for the story and for the art.
All right.
As I said, Action Comics has not been this good since I've been reading it.
Good.
More high praise than that, I don't think I can give. So.
Well, yeah, you're talking about a lot of talented writers in the past who have been on this.
Yeah, and that's to take away nothing from what some of those people did. I enjoyed it immensely.
Right. And you could make the argument that this is historically the most important title in comics.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
All right, so that brings this episode of the DC Comics Chronicles to a close. Um, we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you're reading Action Comics. If you're not, why not? And if you're not, this should be the advertisement to pick it up. We don't care where you pick it up, via Comixology or your local comic book store. Whichever way you consume comics, use one of those two avenues, but support the comic book industry. That's what we say. We
exactly.
strive to do. And we hope that this will either enhance your enjoyment of Action Comics or start your, kickstart your enjoyment of Action Comics. And if you want to keep talking Superman with either Donnie or myself, you can on social media. So, Donnie, where do they track you down?
You can find me on Twitter as the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's talk comics. Let's talk collectibles. Let's talk Superman and Green Lantern.
And Superman was a Green Lantern in the Smallville season 11 comic
Right?
books.
Yep.
There's that connection too.
Yeah, I have those.
Yeah. And if you want to talk to me about Superman or Batman, or if you want to yell at me about, some comment I made, I'll probably block you, but you can try anyway. At Adam_LeafSfan on Twitter. We have the social media account for the podcast network, which is at MMNPDC. And we have the Facebook group, which is listed in the link below. Click the link, ask for permission to join the group, and I will add you and we can continue the conversation there. But remember, until next time, Action Comics and Superman and Lois, or Clark and Lois, are forever. From their first frolic in the sky to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.